Hey everybody, welcome back to X's for Show, your weekly reaction to all things media and TV. You can check us out at X's for Show on all of your social medias. And I'm Nico. You can check me out on Twitter, Instagram, and more at Nico Action. That's NICOACTION, getting quantum.
And I'm TK. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at XNateXGrayX.
And that makes me Kevo, and you can find me at Kevo Rayleigh, KEVOREALLY. And I am ready for some ants. Ants.
Ants. Ants. Ants. Ants. It's like my favorite thing ever.
I've never loved Michael Douglas more than I do as Hank Pym, and how much that man loves ants and what it has brought to us and to the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
So when this show again, this show was two shows, X is for podcast and HTML. And HTML used to do a thing called the State of the MCU, where we talked a little bit about what was going on in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, how it was transforming, what was on the schedule, what was canceled from the schedule, what was moved from the schedule. And this was something we regularly did from time to time. And I was looking at the library and the schedule, and I saw that for whatever reason we had never covered Ant-Man in a way that Michael Douglas would go about. So as we're looking at the schedule and we're realizing, hey, Quantumania, Ant-Man and the Wasp, who's not really in the movie, Quantumania is, or maybe the Wasp is Janet Van Dyne, who knows, is on Disney Plus. And there's going to be a bunch of Disney Plus content. And while between the WGA's, very fair writer's strike and the sort of state of things going on with the MCU slowing its roll, it's very possible that these might be some of the few shows we get in the foreseeable future. But in addition to Ant-Man Quantumania, we're going to be talking about Secret Invasion, Loki Season 2, and none other than Echo, and kind of sort of a little bit Daredevil Born Again. Now, this has been quite a journey for everybody. I know, really, I know what you guys think, but let's go up the line, starting at the bottom. TK, we just finished off Phase 4, which it's hard to believe an entire phase has gone by since the blip. And now here we are at Phase 5, facing down the 5th phase of film future featuring. And I just want to know, how's your fan favorite? Fan favorite!
Work
Yes.
fan favorite. It's funny. To me, it sometimes I'm like, wow, it's come so quickly. But then I think about where I was when I saw the final Avengers movie and what the state of my life was, and the fact that most of Phase 4 was COVID. It actually has been a minute. It has been some years in which, to me, one of the most diverse phases with the most experimentation, the advent of digital streaming in the mix, a variety of films that were distributed a number of different ways, all the way from Black Widow in this kind of hybrid release to something like Werewolf by Night being entirely digital, and then of course theater films all along the way. So I am somebody who can really recognize the difficulties with how this phase functioned in the broader MCU picture. But when I think about all the variety that I got out of this phase, there's a lot that I'm really pleased with, even if each individual movie isn't an A+ in my book. And, Ant-Man and Quantumania, I feel like in a lot of ways picks up that legacy quite well.
I really love that. Now, I'm going to wind up putting everybody on the spot for some opinions. So, guys, I'm going to ask you just thumbs up or down. Just general, overall, 51% or 49 across the board in a minute. So start readying those answers. Kevo, you'll have a moment while I talk a little bit about my relationship with 4 into 5. But Kevo, I've been lucky enough to sit next to you, most handsome man, as we go to see these projects, sometimes from the comfort of our own bed. So neat.
Those are always the best.
Right, man. Where's that OnlyFans? Just like nerds sitting around in underwear or watching Marvel movies in bed. Ugh.
I think that's on us.
All
On us.
Well, XXX is for show is getting ready. But so Kevo, talk to me about 4 into 5.
I as always really harmonize with a lot of what TK said. Especially, and it was really formulating in my head as he was saying what he was saying, and then he said the word diversity, and that really is what it is, in terms of quantity of product that I feel, even if every single part of it isn't A+, it feels consistent. There's consistent tone. There is really at least matching flavor to most of it, whether it's something that is more lighthearted and comedic like She-Hulk, or something that leaned more into horror like Werewolf by Night or Moon Knight. A lot of night, so obviously it was going to be darker. But I think it's when I look at this slide of the Phase 4 as a whole that I really enjoyed Phase 4. It's more when I look at just the films that I'm like, okay, a lot of these weren't super bangers, and at this point you do kind of hope that they are. They can't all be, realistically, is a huge part of that as well. And like I said, it's all still at least a consistent flavor. I'm really enjoying it for all that it's worth, and it hugely fulfills the promise of what we could have hoped for when we were kids, and it was Fox Saturday morning cartoons coupled with Disney afternoon, and I'm just really happy with all of it. I'm nervous about all of the shift change and what all of that portends, but I know we're going to get into that more some later, so I'll wait to worry on that.
I'm so sorry that I've been out of focus while listening to your excellent reactions and really understanding. I agree.
You're fine.
There's so much about the nature of the evolution of this project that I think really resonates with everything you guys are saying. When the Marvel Cinematic Universe started, for me, Kevo, it was the tent poles, the movies, the things that kind of let you down this phase. And then Marvel Netflix came around, and that was amazing. But honestly, S.H.I.E.L.D. didn't do it for me. That just wasn't my bag. So yeah. I had a reverse reaction to early Marvel Cinematic. Now, my favorite thing from the Marvel Universe probably ever is Werewolf by Night. WandaVision, right? So stuff's changed a little bit. Now, Kevo, if you do me a favor and go to that massive slide with everything.
This guy?
Yeah, let's do this. All right, guys, talk to me. WandaVision, thumbs up or down? I'm going thumbs up.
Way up. Way up. Yeah, for sure.
All right. That gets a 3 for 3. How about Falcon and Winter Soldier? How did you guys feel about Falcon and Winter Soldier?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with TK on the more mid. I trend up on the mid, but yeah, no, for sure.
I very much agree. Now, how about Loki? I'm way up. I'm way up on Loki.
And I'm up, but I'm not way up. I'm not quite as leaning mid as TK. I'm just regular up, but I'm not like WandaVision up.
So that's 2 up, 1 mid?
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
So I think we're getting a B.
All right. Now, how about Black Widow? I was like a tepid thumbs up. There were medium parts for me, but it was mostly an up.
Yeah, I think that we're pretty positive overall on Black Widow. It's not the best thing I've ever seen, but I think it's a better version of Winter Soldier, perhaps.
Yeah, I think if it had come out amongst the movies of its oeuvre, as it ought to have
Yeah.
done. It would have been really fantastic. I think if it had just had a smooth either digital release or theater release, it would have been great. The problems are all so contextual and situational, but the movie itself
Yes.
is solid.
And I
Exactly.
think if it hadn't been that we had heard about it coming for 1,000
Yes.
years.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Oh, sorry.
No, go.
All right. Then what about What If? What If for me, ultimately, not like a thumbs down exactly, but is the closest to a thumbs down I'm going to give. I think at the moment, I think I do have to ultimately say I love Party Thor, but I just don't know that it just felt like too much of a distraction in an already unfocused phase. I have to give this one my first red light.
Yeah. Really
Yeah. I mean, it's a cool idea, and I could see it having more relevance in the future, but who knows? I mean, yeah, it's not the best, honestly.
Now,
I think it only it's mostly for me that like it's fun and it can be canon insofar as like, you know, it's really out there. But it's more to me, please don't ever try to make it important. It just needs to be a fun and wild ride, and I would be concerned of that.
Yeah.
But if it can just stay like wacky, yeah, sure, it's fine.
Now, what about Shang-Chi? I honestly, I wish I could give something 2 thumbs up. I loved Shang-Chi
Yeah, go
so
for
much.
it. 6 thumbs up.
I have a gentleman in my life who loves how much I loved Loki so much that he got me a Time Variance Authority jacket, and like, you know, superheroes aren't his thing, but he tries really hard as somebody who does not care, and I was so hype about Shang-Chi, he came with me to the movies and had a good time. That's what a good movie it is. It's accessible. So it's accessible. So speaking of inaccessible, I have to give Eternals a mid. Eternals is a yellow for me. I like so much of what they tried. The performances were great, but at 317 minutes long, the movie still had huge gaps in it, and I got to give it a yellow. It's got it in the middle.
Yep.
Trending up for me even, but yeah.
Yeah, definitely for me also trending up. It just there really were some big gaps, some big misses. The fact that they made Cersei into the character that she is when she is such a strongly written, compelling character in the comics. So there's something to pull from. And that they just ignored that entirely was one of the things that to me I was just like, I don't know if they were ready to make this movie.
And you know, a huge part of it for me now is especially how much I personally have covered Eternals, the comics, for
Truly.
X's for Podcast, our comics branch of this show, where we evolved from, still covering comics now. But I did a huge amount of coverage for X's for Podcast on Eternals and got to know the characters very well. And yeah, it's of all of the adjustments that I'm aware of that they have made of the MCU, it's a very strange take on everyone, especially the leading character.
And I ultimately am happy with what it led to, but it was not my favorite experience. But definitely not one that I wouldn't say to go do. Now, okay, we have a really cool super fan who I just want to say, super fan, Allie Galactic. We love you. We love when you hang out in our podcasts. And I was surprised at how hard Allie came at Far From Home, but I understand how many people found the film to be a little frustrating. I personally thought it was as 2.5 as like, if I'm doing a scale of, every thumbs up is 3 points, this is 2 points, and every thumbs down is 1 point. It's as close to a 2.5 as I want to be able to give. For all of the positives, there were still a good number of clunks. but I really see how this movie was super divisive for so much of fandom, despite its record-breaking intakes. So what did you guys think? Thumbs up, mediums, thumbs down? What you guys feeling about Spider-Man Far From Home?
Yeah, it's a 2. It's a mid. It's the problem is I don't know how much I care, and this movie didn't necessarily do anything to get me there.
I think also a huge amount of how much I'm going to care about this movie depends on what comes next for Tom Holland's Peter Parker and Spider-Man in general. Even if they end up killing off Tom Holland's Peter Parker and they bring in a live action Miles or something like that, all right, this you can still make this have meant something to me, but pun intended, if that branch of the franchise is just sort of going to peter out, that makes this not a super fulfilling third film to a trilogy. But then I think Spider-Man has always it's really been a reactionary film series. Homecoming was a reaction to Civil War. Far From Home was a reaction to Endgame. And No Way Home is a reaction to just everything else that has been going on, just not in only the MCU, but Spider-Man in general for the past 20 years. And that's a lot.
So, thumbs up, mid, what you saying?
Thumbs up contingent on anything else that is going to happen with this character in the future. Generally, thumbs up, but we'll see.
All right, Hawkeye. As much as I loved Hawkeye, I got to give it a mid. It just didn't have the fluid I was looking for, so I'm a yellow. I see TK's a green. Kevo, where do you sit on this guy?
I want to be more green than yellow, but I am not the biggest Elder Hawkeye fan. He's fine, and this made me like him a little bit more. Not a ton more, but I love Kate Bishop in it, so that definitely helped it a lot. I loved Yelena in it, and that definitely helped it a lot too. And I'm excited for the hints that it gives for the Daredevil branch of things.
So what are you going with, yellow or green?
Still yellow.
Okay. How about Moon Knight for everybody? Oh, wow. So you're trending red almost.
Yeah.
I'm a yellow as well. So
it's definitely trending down. It was well done conceptually, but just nothing about it was exciting. Nothing about it worked. I don't see how it's relevant to the MCU in any way. And now that we're starting phase 5 and I still don't really, or we're into phase 5 and I still don't really have any idea what that was. Now,
I completely get you.
And I really appreciate you saying that you don't see where it has connectivity to the rest of the MCU. It came out just before Love and Thunder and around the same time as Multiverse of Madness. So I had been hoping, there's gods in Moon Knight. Maybe we will see some connection between Moon Knight and one of these films. And there wasn't, in any way. Yep. And again, it's not that it seems like it is disconnected entirely. The way that S.H.I.E.L.D. felt at times. But it's not as connected as it can be either. And I really want that.
So is it like 2 yellows and a red? Is that what this average is?
It's like an orange. It's a solid orange.
All right, so I'm going to throw in one red.
Mauve.
All right, Doctor Strange. I'm going to give it a yellow because I liked enough, but...
Yep. That is the most yellow there is. There are some parts that are so bad, but there are some parts that are so great, and it just averages to a mid.
How about you, Kevy?
Which one?
Doctor Strange.
Oh, that is specifically down for me, and it's specifically down because I wish it wasn't. I wanted it to at least be yellow, and nothing on this list is I'm never watching this again. Really, truly. But I was really disappointed. The best thing I can say about it is that it's short.
Well, from short movie to longer form series, Ms. Marvel season 1. I'm going to give this a thumbs up. There was stuff that was a little slow, but I had a good time.
Big thumbs up.
Yeah, maybe just would have had it be a little bit shorter. A lot of streaming television, I'm finding that from lately, where I think they're stretching out unnecessarily. But overall, it's still a really fun, enjoyable story, and the characters are great. I'm so excited to see more from everyone in the cast.
Thor 4, more Thor, Love and Thunder.
Very divisive.
Was a funny for most people, but I'm a thumbs up for it. All right, we got a green, we got a yellow. Kevo, what you feeling?
Yeah, I guess mid trending up at best.
All right. Now, everybody, here was one that definitely shook the internet a bit. How about She-Hulk season 1? Big thumbs up for me.
Yeah, absolutely thumbs up.
I know we talked about this show quite a bit on the series before TK joined. TK, did you have a favorite moment from She-Hulk?
Favorite moment from She-Hulk? I mean, the Matt stuff was really fantastic, of course. That ending with her talking to the machine was, uniquely fourth wall breaking for the She-Hulk TV show in a way that really said, hey, we get that we adapted a fourth wall breaking comic and we wanted to give you a version of that we could only do on screen and honor what this character is. Yeah.
All right. Now to one where I'm barely going to ask, but just double checking. Werewolf by Night, 3 greens.
I wish I had a third thumb.
Yeah, I'm giving it 5 thumbs up, if you know what I'm trying to say, right?
I can't give it extra thumbs for the same reason as Spider-Man. I want to know if there's going to be more from any of these characters, because I loved all of them, and I'd be really excited for more in this vein or from them. But yeah, this is a watch every holiday.
Now, before we get to the next holiday special, because technically Wakanda Forever is our Thanksgiving movie, I really loved Wakanda Forever. It was a really beautiful film that should have been 5 episodes of a TV show. I don't know that I can ever sit through that movie in a single serving ever again. Really beautiful film, and I'm so moved by so much of it, but it was a drain on my emotional capacity. And I got to give it a yellow for that reason.
I was surprised by how smoothly we did watch it in one sitting, but I think it was because we were in a bingey mood and it felt like watching a mini-series. It suffers from something that I'm feeling a lot of movies, especially MCU movies, are doing lately, where they have to kick it into turbo at the very end, and there's this huge escalation when you think the movie is over, and that really dragged out this film. And I think, making it a miniseries might have helped. I don't know, but beautiful, 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 wonderful, enjoyable film that just felt like a miniseries.
I really agree.
It's so funny because I agree too, and I feel like there are people who would say that's insulting. And it really gets into one of the bigger problems that Disney is having, which is that they are making so much great content that is boundary breaking and format breaking and medium breaking in ways that we no longer need to cling to the idea that movies are prestige and streaming series are TV and therefore are not prestige. But we're so stuck in that modality that even though you could have better served all of the actors and all of the story by making it a longer serial experience, I understand that there are a lot of people who say that would not be doing Wakanda Forever justice because they don't get the same prestige as the other MCU properties. And it's just such a complex thing. And it's really unfortunate because I know that from a great storytelling standpoint, what we agree is true. It's just these labels and these ideas that we have that are really kind of gumming up the works for everybody in media lately.
So is that so I definitely am a mid. How about you, Kevo?
Mid, and it would trend upward if it had like better designated rest breaks for if you want to leave the movie and come back, because I feel like that's something a lot of people are doing with longer movies now too. If we could have not like there needs to be a title card, just like suggested, this is around where is a good place to pause, I would probably be more into it.
How about you, TK?
It's a thumbs up for me. I really did love it. I see the problems that we're talking about, but pure thumbs up for me.
Oh, but I mean, I love that. It does have it. People give it flowers. It's amazing magical flowers that give people Black Panther powers. So, lastly, we have the Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special. I really did like this. I think the problem is I ultimately feel like it cannot exist, and the scenes in Thor and Love and Thunder and Guardians of the Galaxy 3. They all wind up treading too much of the same target material. So
yes, without saying anything new.
Yeah, I also love the Kevin Bacon stuff, but I think it might be a little sillier than I'm eager to rewatch. So I have to, as much as I love this and was really positive in our Guardians coverage, which check it out, it was a great episode. I think I have to give this one a medium for me. This is a yellow boy.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yellow trending up for me.
Yep.
All right, guys. Well, I was secretly, and by secretly I mean really obviously, sitting here typing along, keeping track of all of this.
Oh, you nut.
I am sending it into our personal chat. No, that looks terrible. I'm going to send it right on into Discord for our Discord server. But we will keep that for posterity's sake, and we can always put together some kind of graphic for it and, have a real good time.
Maybe I'll put something together to flash up over this, and if it is, you're welcome. I hope it looks great. Good job, Kevo.
Kevo, it looks amazing.
What a talent.
Great job, future Kevo. You did it.
Once in a generation talent.
90% chance if I didn't do it, it's because I couldn't for some reason. I was on fire. I hope I was not on fire.
Okay, so we have our 4 into 5, and what's really funny is I wrote the timeline for this episode, and I knowing us and knowing me, I left us 15 minutes to talk about what ultimately took us an attractive 30, but that's a little closer to. Oh no, I gave us 20. Terrific. So let's just catch up. Ant-Man and the Wasp. Oh no, we have this beautiful what's coming. Okay.
Oh, and this was just while you were talking.
Ant-Man and the Wasp can wait a minute. No big deal. Where are they going? So February 17th of 2023, we had Quantumania, and then May 5th of 20. Oh, I'm gonna say, babe, that's probably 2023, not 2008.
I know. I never updated. This is from this episode. And I was going to go back and update a graphic if I didn't need it. And then this happened.
And then we were like, oh my God, these exist. I love
cute.
the Marvels poster. It's super great. It's our wedding date. Nice date.
Yeah.
A couple of other things coming down the pipeline. There's been some rumors about some changes. The writer of Shang-Chi took over for Thunderbolts and added a fan favorite actor in Steve Yeun to the cast. I don't believe we know who he's playing yet, but that is very exciting. A lot of rumors that Blade is being pushed back and that Dane Whitman is being removed. Big rumor that Captain America is getting a new title. Deadpool is getting all of that crazy rumor news about Hugh Jackman being like, all right, I can't get back into shape. Just gotta go wrestle me some crocodiles. That's my Hugh Jackman impression.
And I love it.
I can't imagine that Fantastic Four movie is ever coming out because I don't think they're ever casting it, and that's fine. Rumors that Secret Wars is getting a new writer, that Jeff Loveness is off following some changes around Quantumania. some TV show stuff. We've got Secret Invasion and Loki, as well as confirmed Echo for this season. We've got What If coming at some point, Ironheart coming at some point, though we got a great taste of Ironheart back in Black Panther. Agatha Coven of Chaos is going to be it's going to be a mess. I hope it's a good mess, but
it'll be a good mess. It'll be a fun mess. Patty LuPone is in it. It's going to be fine.
Literally my goddess, but I
do hope there is a musical number every episode. I just hope it's a fun, silly, magical mess.
I do too. Yeah.
The only
Elizabeth Olsen sing?
I'm sure she can get through a number for a comedy, like silly magic show. I also imagine if she's in that, she will be in it for a sum total of 15 minutes.
Yeah, true.
I also just want to say that there's a lot of discussion going on about the nature of the Jonathan Majors situation. And I'm just saying the word situation because there's a lot of discussion, and I'm, not here to repeat anything that hasn't been corroborated. There are charges pressed against Jonathan Majors that are of a domestic abuse nature. And that's serious, and we take that seriously. And there's statements that it's possible it was recanted, but it also seems like it's happening and going forward. In the wake of that, it appears more people came forward to talk about the situation with personal experience from it. So with all of that going on, it would appear that there is some discussion that Marvel is hedging their bets as far as the Jonathan Majors Kang situation goes. One of the big rumors is that Kang was always going to be sort of a patsy villain for a bigger villain down the line. So the decision to make Kang the big villain was a result of Jonathan Majors' ability as an actor. So they could be reducing him. Kevo brought to my attention a report from the other day that involved a 2.5-minute Loki upfronts presentation with not a moment of Jonathan Masters in it.
Majors.
Jonathan Masters, Jonathan Majors. Sure.
James Masters.
The whole everybody called him Justin Bateman for a while. Sorry.
You know how mad James Marsters must be that he's not Loki?
That's got to be hard for him, because I feel like fake British is as close to fake British.
Yeah, Norse, Australian, right? British. Yeah, Shakespearean.
So, all right, I just said a whole bunch of stuff about a whole bunch of stuff. And my question for you guys is, how are you feeling about this uncertainty, this lack of focus as far as a future plan? It's not that I believe that the Marvel Cinematic Universe is collapsing, but I believe they do have a daunting task ahead of them.
They do. Like, no matter what they do, we have to keep in mind that there's only 4 other phases that have ever happened, and each is unique for reasons that there's just even still not a ton of data to go on to determine what makes a phase good, what to do with the next one. There's surprisingly, like, you think there's so many of these movies, there's still not a ton of data when you factor in that the first phase really can't tell you a lot because it's also intro, and then that this one, phase 4, being just after the enormity that was Endgame. It's so difficult to pull each of these off. And in that way, I'm very forgiving, and I'm very, that's why I don't do like phase 3 was good, but phase 4, nope. They're all different. They're all my children, and I love them. But my concerns now go like way bigger than that. I'm getting global. I'm getting cosmic with this. My concerns are for the future of the franchise once the X-Men are folded in, the future of the franchise in an ever-changing landscape where, again, people are going to the theaters less and less, seemingly only for these films, but that can't last forever, particularly if they want to start making statements with them that will cause some people to not go. And if they don't do that, they're going to get boring and people won't go for that reason. So everything that we have talked about, I feel like I'm not worried. I a little scared that they will back a domestic abuser because it is convenient, but I'm hoping that if that turns out to be what the situation is, they do not back him. I have some concerns that specific films that I want to be great will not really be my bag, but in general, I feel like we're in good hands to go from movie to movie. I just don't know where we're really going broadly with this enormous meta plot universe.
And,
Kevo, how are you feeling?
I do feel badly for the state of the world in cinema that are beyond anyone's control who's producing this. We went through Pando and now everything that is going on with the writer's strike and just so much that's going on in the world that is just making filmmaking in general a very treacherous path the last couple of years, and it really reminds you just what a near damn miracle the Infinity Saga even was to accomplish. These 23 films that tell a significantly linear narrative that were so hugely successful, all of it. It was such a feat, and to keep it sustaining, even in the way that they are keeping it sustained, like it or lump it, it's still going, it's still earning a ton of money, and it's still going forward. One of the things that I also constantly point to in our criticism of these films and a lot of storytelling is I point to the comic book form of storytelling and the way that things have to shift very frequently when it comes to that as well. And you do just sort of have to roll with the punches and the creative and artistic shifts that just sort of need to happen. And I feel like that audience, for as nitpicky as it can be, also learned to be a lot more forgiving of things like an artist needing to change or a writer quitting suddenly. And you complain, but you move on and you don't quit the entire industry. And so I think the Marvel Cinematic Universe, for how expansive it's become, is really experiencing a lot of those things because of how many people are involved in making all of these films. And it makes it difficult, but I am, like TK said, not worried yet in any way. Am I certain I'm going to love everything that comes out of the machine right now? No. Will I probably enjoy it? Yeah, I'm not worried currently that I won't enjoy any of it.
And, to what you guys are talking about, I just want to bring in my friend, right? I'm gonna be a serious interview man for a minute. Right.
Where did Nico go?
I'm serious interview man.
Welcome to the show.
It's me, Nicky Action, on the scene with the hard-hitting news. And I'm here interviewing a very famous superhero lady. I'm going to spare you all the Nicky Action accent, but
work on it. Invite him back.
I have here for everybody example number 1 of what happens when you promise something is going to be great. We were given all of this setup that when Wanda finally goes Wanda, it's going to be wonderful. Mm-hmm. And instead, what we got was Wanda as the cheap villain to a Doctor Strange film. Yeah, Wanda fuck. Right, man, Drag Race, call us. We are just feeding you, right? Then, Wanda's sitting over there like, my life's hard. But then I got this buddy over here who's like, you think it's tough being a bad payoff? Imagine being hyped forever and ultimately dying in your first appearance.
Well, there's other ones, though. It's just not...
Well, and then, of course, there's always...
He's too green screened.
Oh, God.
Oh, is that Danny? Is that poor Danny?
Oh, it's Danny.
I mean,
Again, I'll try to edit it. I'll try to
Oh
edit
my
him
god!
in.
But
yeah.
I want him in this purple. Oh, that's fabulous! Look at this.
That's like the purple and green Dark Spider from Dark Web.
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, we genuinely have no idea what we're doing with the Defenders crew, but the Defenders crew got their series that were as good as they could be. Danny's was always going to be bad. Now we have Lin Lie, and we have a whole new hope for Iron Fist. But yeah, I mean, characters get done dirty. That is part of the problem. We only get love that hat. We do only get so many opportunities to do this, and that's yes, I'm sort of taking back my thing that like I'm not worried because I get that sometimes characters don't get the opportunities that they ought to. I guess my thing is there's always another character. The fact that Danny did not do well on his TV show and doesn't work does not matter because the three other Defenders worked. Even Luke Cage, whose show wasn't the best, was good. And, he's such a good Luke Cage. He has such chemistry with Kristen Ritter. The three of them, they're fine. So, if you are a Marvel fan and you didn't get Danny, I really hope that you can accept all of the other amazing martial artists that you will get and be okay not getting Danny.
This was a fairy tale style anime film that used Mario as like the pieces for it. And it's why we had, this wizard that looks like a penis. And it's why she couldn't possibly end up with Mario because look at him. So instead we needed to have this weird
Princess
look
Bubblegum?
Thank you. I was literally about to say he looks like he's from the Candy Kingdom. You have weird stuff like Toad is a woman. You have Bowser.
You have the magic to turn into a teddy bear, but if I put you in a box when you're a teddy bear, I will be able to defeat you readily.
And who is this Miss Endless character?
Yeah,
she seems like a nightmare.
Yeah.
I don't trust her.
No reason you should.
Whatever this is. And now I'm seeing leg warmers, so I'm realizing, was this Flashdance? I don't even know.
I think he's just supposed to be like a ballerina, like a pretty ballerina girl.
And it's funny, like Toad is such a good example because this is so early on that we don't actually have an aesthetic standard for Mario stuff at this point.
So why not?
Yeah, because, it is just so few pixels that depict what any of these characters are that if you decide when they're fully drawn, it's this, there's really nothing that says that's wrong. By the time you get to, Super Mario Land or Super Mario World, I should say, it's clear enough that some decisions are starting to be made that you cannot change and that you can't deviate from so spectacularly, which is why the Saturday morning cartoon shows are very faithful and don't take the same type of liberties.
So, okay. We've talked a little bit about this. We talked a little bit about that. Now let's talk a bit about a little something. Let's talk Quantumania. It's time. Let's quantify. You accuse him, we're a quantify, right? So my first thought about this movie is I remember when this trailer hit and it seemed impossibly badly mixed, and they made it seem like it was going to be this much more dramatic film. And I'm not saying that this movie was like a lighthearted romp, but ultimately how I feel about Quantumania is that it is birthed of 11 other films around it. This is a result of the Guardians of the Galaxification of the Marvel Universe, for which I am very grateful. But because so many other things did so many similar things around this, Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, Guardians of the Galaxy 3, Thor 4, it felt very much like there was nothing unique here, kind of from the moment it started.
Yeah, I mean, I can't really argue with that.
Sharp
Cool.
graphic.
Yeah,
Thanks.
very nice graphic. Cool concepts.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I don't like Evangeline Lilly, but I like the actors for the most part. Nico, something you said when we were kind of talking over our rewatches was like, this is another one that I probably would have loved as a series. And this is a great example of one that would have been great to make a series because it's another well-to-do white guy and basically all white cast with the exception of the villain, who at the time we all knew was coming back as a bigger villain, so whatever. But you know, if you can say Paul Rudd and Evangeline Lilly and, you know, Michelle Pfeiffer and Michael Douglas are doing our streaming TV program, our streaming show program, it maybe makes it more okay that something like Black Widow, the only female headlining Marvel thing, is also a streaming film. This would have been the perfect one to break those boundaries. And I really think you're right. Like, you can see where the beats in this film that are too quick and could have expanded into a 40-minute episode are all over the place. You know, it just moves too fast in a way that makes it seem like there actually is no substance because you never get a chance to push into what that substance is.
It does make me wonder at times, though, what is the substance that is there? Like, I really agree with everything that you guys are saying about feeling like there is so much room for growth and expansion and outward storytelling in just this film alone. But it almost feels like it is grounds for a Marvel animated show more than it would be like any kind of serious show. And I think hugely one of the things that makes me think that is characters like what's this guy's name again?
Veb.
Veb, you know, Drink the Ooze, and the bar that Janet takes them to where they meet Bill Murray and everyone's weird and it's all kooky. And it makes me think of like the Men in Black animated series. I think there is genuinely grounds in just this film alone for like several seasons of a fun, exciting, wacky, kind of gross Marvel kids animated series. But I don't know that I necessarily feel like there is the kind of expansion into a broader series the way there is for Wakanda Forever. Again, maybe at like a lower level, like a phrase that I used when we were watching this that I don't mean insultingly, but DCOM, which is short for Disney Channel Original Movie. Very family fare, very fun, very colorful, very wacky, very loud, very Drink the Ooze.
And, you know, that's kind of the nature of anything where you're going to a world where nothing looks like what we know, and you still have to have action comedy beats. It's hard to do that super serious. Kevo, could you pull up the amazing slide of the creative team for a moment?
Absolutely.
So the movie was written by Jeff Loveness, directed by Peyton Reed, originally released on February 17th of 2023, with music composed by team favorite Christoph Beck and a runtime listed online of 124 minutes, but listed on Disney Plus of 126 minutes. So Action Plus over here just said split the fucking difference. 125 minutes. That's what it is. And
20 minutes longer than it should have been.
yes. You know, and my problem isn't even with the movie I got. It's with the movie I didn't get. From the minute the movie begins, there's all of this, what is reality? Am I real? And then we get a multitudinous exploration of what it means to be hundreds of Ant-Man all working toward the same goal. And it took hundreds of Ant-Men working toward the same goal with millions of ants working toward the same goal to stop one Kang. And then we see the inverse is all of those Kangs working together at the end. I think that's an incredible beat. Then show it! Then say it! Then connect the ant mentality. Ever connect the hive mind mentality and the Kang's learning from Ant-Man. Because Kang never thinks of himself as the little guy, so he would need the little guy to show him this other perspective. Stop saying, oh, well, we did enough. We showed the big scenes. You know what? You should just assume that most of your audience came to the English language by watching commercials and infomercials in the 1980s and has a tenuous grasp on narrative fiction. I will say this as an English major and former educator. It's the state of things. You need to assume your audience is struggling to understand. Not that they're stupid, that they lack the understanding fundamentals. Don't treat us dumb.
It's a conversation we had early on in our creative collaboration as partners back in our schoolboy days, where you, having been a student of Sorkin and of David E. Kelly, tried to presume to have what you felt was a little more faith in your audience. And it was exactly as you're saying. It's not having faith in your audience. It's making it easier for them to follow. That's your job as the storyteller and the narrator. You shouldn't make it difficult for your audience to discern what they are looking at. So yeah, because even a lot of the things you're saying about comparing it to the hive mind and there needing to be these millions of different Scotts to defeat the one Kang, and there's millions of Kangs. Yeah, a lot of that penny didn't drop for me until you were talking about it during this episode just now. So, for as enjoyable as I found the film, and for as much as a lot of the beats are there, they clearly didn't carry it across the finish line as much as they needed to.
Yeah, I'm really now thinking about it a lot, thinking about like the ants versus the Scotts versus the Kangs, and this multitudinous idea, how that relates to the idea of variance and timelines melding together, and what does that mean for the MCU? What is the fact that we are doing multiple timelines mean for the MCU? This was the film to really seed that in some capacity. You know, I might have done more of like, and this is why it could have been a series, like another Scott, like somehow timelines meet up in the quantum realm and we meet another Scott who is on a different but similar journey.
Could we maybe meet a Tony Stark Ant-Man?
Oh my God, could we ever?
Yeah,
the hottest version of either character
it's just
ever
absurd.
Created.
But that's a brilliant idea. Give us something that sort of makes a statement. You know, nothing you guys are talking about is even really dumbing it down. It's like taking your concept and doing something with it, not just having the ideas in certain scenes and then repeat it again, but make it something and make that matter to the bigger plot. I want to believe that multiple timelines is more than just how we get things the way we need them for this franchise to continue. I want it to really be that this matters because it matters to what the Marvel Universe is overall, whether it be on page or on screen.
And, Kevi, I just really want to, give it up to you. I didn't realize it until you put the image up. The image where Scott is looking at the ants in the cage looks so much like the image of the multiverse at the end of the film that the versions of Kang look at. And it's this network of movement, of traveling, of working together. These threads are there. This movie has the potential to be great. Like, there's movies that I think you could fix really easily. I just wish the way that Thor had defeated Gore was just being like, hey, you've killed so many gods. You're like the god of god killing. I guess you're the king of the gods. Your little god bomb killing the king of the gods is going to kill you. Like, that's a full fucking rewrite. And like, I'm pitching it
god
anyway.
Boy.
Yeah, you're a little god boy, aren't you? Go method act at some lighting riggers. You know what I mean? Like, he's Christian Bale. So, I think this movie didn't need the rewrites. Instead of Kang getting off the ground 85 times, showing Jonathan Majors, Jonathan Majors, who the cycle he must be on makes the Liver King look tiny, or he has the greatest genetic code of all time, whatever it is. Bless him.
Career rep.
His performance here is very strong, maybe a little hammy to the point of silly at times, but
either dead or hammy.
Yeah. I just want to jump back. You actually added something to my thing, TK, where you said like togetherness adds a factor. The family, the Ant family, is an Ant-Man, a Wasp, an Ant-Man, a Wasp, stature, right? So Cassie.
Yep.
Darren as MODOK is completely ineffectual until he believes he's part of the Avengers.
Yeah.
And the family, yeah.
He doesn't gain the ability to function within the parameters of the story's definition of success until he belongs. The Ant-Men don't stand a chance until they've united the quantum realm. Yep. This is all there, and it's all
oh my god, and he was
wonderful.
Yellow Jacket. He was
an ant person.
Yeah, technically.
It's all there. It's all beautiful. It could all have been done. Oh, Jesus.
Honestly, I really don't hate this.
Yeah.
I think it's great that it's so terrible. Like, I think, I like it. That Kang also has no one, has nothing, is all alone.
Yeah.
That he destroyed the one friendship / relationship that he had. And by the way, if you left that movie and thought that Kang and Janet never, you are out of your damn mind.
Why not?
I would never let either one of them off the planet without being like, hey, I have a photo bucket full of nudes if you just
That's all I'm saying. Anyway, he had somebody for one moment, and when he is all by himself, though he can, do the Kang thing, he is never able to achieve his ultimate goal, where that is, what the family is able to do.
Kang the Conqueror did the thing.
Oh gosh, I don't have a good line to follow that up with, but yes. Anyway, it is all there. It just wasn't used.
Now, speaking of something that wasn't used, but we hope gets used, since we are good at continuity on this show, I just wanted to pivot briefly to Tony Stark Ant-Man, just so the audience has an idea of what we're talking about when we say he is so illogically hot. He's just he's just Tony Stark who became Ant-Man instead of Iron Man.
We talked about him in one of our videos. I can't
Yeah.
remember which one off the top of my head, so I'll try to look back and make a note. But yeah, because I know I've seen him before, and I know I've definitely made sure to get a visual reference for
And
this gentleman.
this multiversal Avengers, I think, have some legs in the comics going forward.
Infinity Thing is up there, right?
Yeah, who is
Infinity
just
Thing.
fantastic. It's an
Oh,
interesting
that's so
bunch.
cool.
This Aaron run, guys, if you don't watch our comic coverage as much and you are an MCU person that's like always been curious about the comics, the Jason Aaron run that just finished, so it's a finite run with a beginning, middle, and end, it really was built by one of the greats to be for MCU people to understand how bonkers comics get, but to be in on the action the whole time. It really is one of those series that can be read without knowing the entirety of Marvel Comics, but it will catch you up on the entirety of continuity for Marvel Comics. And, I do think that run will be one of those ones that is referenced and important in all Marvel media for years to come. So I really can't recommend enough that, if you have the time, if you have Marvel Unlimited, give this a try. Plus you'll get to meet hot Tony Stark Ant-Man, and you just would be so lucky.
I mean, his name is Ant. How can you not love that?
Antony.
Yeah. Oh, that's what a stark point.
Nah.
So, okay. I want to bring up the other major thing that this movie did was it... Okay. If I say to you, what's the best part about an ensemble film? Most people will say the ensemble. If you say, what's the thing that made this film franchise famous? And it's an ensemble, you might say, oh, good, include them in the sequel. Do you know what I wouldn't say to do for the third movie? Drop the ensemble that made the film a success. I mean, Luis is the best part of the franchise in a lot of ways. And he's a charming gentleman in the films. Kevo, would you bring up the cast list?
Yeah.
I just want to thank Kevo. I give him these notes that look a little bit like, like the neurotic scrawlings of an artist trying to convince someone they're brilliant. And Kevo makes these incredible graphics out of it. So I'm always so grateful.
I'm your Salieri.
Right. We've got Scott Lang, Hope Van Dyne, a new Cassie Lang, but she is a returning character for sure. We have the return of Michelle Pfeiffer, Michael Douglas, and Corey Stoll, though that's kind of questionable how it's his return. It's the return of Jonathan Majors from playing He Who Remains over in the pages, the world of Loki. And then David 101 Dalmatian. I am so sorry, sir. I'm just not going to do your name disrespect by pronouncing it wrong. But, please feel free to call in, be on the show, and let me know how to pronounce it.
David D.
He played Veb, who's, my kind of guy, just going around shouting he's got holes. He was previously Kurt in Ant-Man 1 and 2, the guy who's like, Baba Yaga, Baba Yaga.
There's the Yaga.
No thank you on Bill Murray. The guy is evidently super toxic. This has been talked about a lot on shows that have a lot more backing up for it than we do. I didn't need another big deal cameo that probably, the movie would have worked without Kryler. The soldiers just could have shown up, and that would have eaten 15 minutes from the film that we could have gotten from Kang instead. And I think Bill Murray's my big regret about this movie.
Kryler is also just such a weird comics pull that doesn't add much to have him in there. He's a Hulk villain. And we're not anywhere near doing, the one below all or the one above all, even though He Who Remains is kind of like could be part of that. You know, we're not doing the green door. So pulling this character in is just a weird choice. It's like, it's so like when they do it, sometimes to me, it's like almost acknowledging like, we are aware that these connections can be made. That's why we put this character in, but we are specifically choosing to not do anything with it. We did the research. We just don't care.
I mean, he literally appears in one issue ever. It's issue 156 of The Incredible Hulk.
Yeah.
You know, he's not some big deal character. Kevo, I'm sending you the image if you want to try and get this up on the board. But yeah,
and I guess in that regard, then it's you know, sure, it could be nobody, or it could be a character who appeared the one time. You know, in She-Ra Princesses of Power, there's this sort of wimpy character in the Horde who's named Kyle, and he actually is a character from the original cartoon show, who only ever appeared in one episode. And, you know, obviously it's not the same character, but they could have created an entirely original character, or they could have done a cute little thing that was a nod to the cartoon show. And I guess that's sort of what it is. But for me, it's mostly that Bill didn't do anything with the role anyway. So,
well, you know, Vuk really made Dark Phoenix. So, all things aside, biggest problem with this movie is the plot is kind of pointless. Kang, in all of his infinite power, can't find a way to retrieve a thing. I understand that there's plot phlebotinum, you know, and that's just what it is. But that's even the thing. Like, so the whole thing kind of rests on nothing, and the nothing that it rests on restarts over and over again every time Kang gets back up. Ultimately, his defeat is kind of pointless. The thing is, I know I'm saying some really negative things about this movie, but for all the negative things, I had a good time. I didn't have a great time, and it could have been 25 minutes shorter, but what I got from this movie is that there are pockets of the Marvel Universe worth exploring. And Kevo, your whole point about an animated show, I don't know that I could do an animated show, but if this had been a live action animated hybrid where there's the live action bits at the beginning and then everything in the quantum realm was some kind of animated. And so it was still these voice actors and it had been a season, I would have given this show a lot of my time and energy. There's a lot more patience I have for things in animation. You know, just to bring up something we're going to cover at some point, but with Lower Decks, that moment where the Ferengi is like, oh man, and they're like, get, and they like kick back the Ferengi. And they're like, no, get, like that's hysterical. But if I ever saw Michael Burnham kick at a Ferengi, I would lose my mind. I would be like, character murder.
Yeah.
And, you know, that is like, just character assassination beyond any reasonable belief. And that's what I would have had a little bit more okay time with here, because the only other major regret I have about this film is the worst the film looks ever. Oh, yeah.
His face.
Yeah, not great. But the other big problem is Ant-Man looks horrible giant in that one sequence. Whoa, he's moving slowly.
It was more the dialogue for me than it was the actual visual.
But the voice sounds like Candy from All Stars 8. It's killing me.
Yeah, so he just shouldn't have talked. I also, that was a point where I turned to you guys and I was like, is this really big? Part of the problem is we're in the quantum realm, so I don't know how big these buildings are. I don't know how big a story of each of these buildings is. So he's not bigger than the Golden Gate Bridge. That's something that is a visual that we could understand is the biggest he's ever been.
Look,
but
it's the Mickey and Friends parking structure.
Yeah, it's we don't know. This isn't. So that's part of what de-escalated this climax for me is I couldn't even tell that this was extra big. Just felt like regular Giant.
Which really, at the end of the day, is like a 30-second explanation of like, in the quantum realm, we can't do size changes the way that we do them in our world because it's impossible to compare. But I tweaked our machine and now I can get what would be, you know, as tall as the sky in our world. Like, there's ways to do it. But again, it's just like nobody really cares. And it feels like what they really think is that you don't care. And that's one of the big bummers to me. That's one of those things, along with feeling like sometimes the movies are too lowest common denominator, that I'm just like, it's time to stop underestimating the audience and start challenging them a little bit.
And speaking of challenging, you know, I'm happy to go back to the, you know what, I don't want to move on too fast. I was going to go to the 2 post-credit scenes because they are challenging, but just to rewind a minute, Cassie's great here. I'm just going to do the Ant family real quick. Cassie's great here. Man, I love this green, yellow, red light system. I want to do that for everything in every movie now. It's our own little rubric. It's everything to me. I did 3 points for every green light, 2 points for every yellow light, and 1 point for every red light. And look, if you've got to be like, get the fuck out of the crosswalk, like, I guess I can give you 0 points on one thing. I thought Cassie was great. The acting was spectacular. I was really aggressively annoyed about it. Yet another recast of a young woman in these films so that she could, I guess, be a more sexualizable age. And don't care for that. But this was a great performance from a terrific actress. Really made me accept that she could hold her own next to Michael Douglas and Michelle Pfeiffer. And, you know, maybe Evangeline Lilly is like Lost's Evangeline Lilly. But Paul Rudd is like America's sweetheart Paul Rudd. He's up there with a Michael Douglas or a or a Michelle Pfeiffer. Catherine Zeta-Jones is just married to Michael Douglas. Michelle Pfeiffer's married to him in the movie.
Has Catherine ever commented on being in a superhero movie?
I'm sure she must have at some point. She got asked questions, being his wife.
She does what she wants.
I'm sure she wants to be in like, you know, like Chicago Avengers, where she can just play Velma Kelly kicking her way through bad guys. Because, you know, why not? Go for your Oscar-winning role.
Oh, good Lord. So I go to look this up real quick.
Yeah.
The first headline is about how every time Michael Douglas loses a game of golf to his wife, he is required to whip his dick out for her.
That's my kind of marriage.
Yeah.
If Catherine Zeta-Jones was like, show me your penis, I would be the happiest guy all the time.
Good job, girl.
Good job. Kathy Zeta, I am all about how you run this world. Girls. All right, so yeah, that's my question for you guys. How did you feel about Cassie, about Hank, Janet, and I'll put it out there, Darren, that At Least I Died in Avenger.
Uncle
you were always
Darren.
a brother for me.
Uncle Darren.
I loved the end for him, the part where he died. So how did you guys feel about the supporting cast? And fine, you can talk about Hope too.
I'm fine with everybody. You know, I'm even fine with Darren as MODOK. I think it's funny. I think it would have been really tough to make MODOK anything else on the big screen, so you might as well really lean into it.
But what a way to communicate that to your audience. We're never doing MODOK, so enjoy this instead, I hope.
Right. Fodoc.
Fodoc. I've never heard that, genuinely.
You know, they're all fine. It's tough to say that I care a ton. I thought that actor who played Cassie was very good. I would be really excited if she were in Young Avengers. I feel like she would kill it. I don't think she kills it here, not because she isn't good, just because this movie isn't set up for supporting cast members, really.
Yeah.
You know, and it is so worried about making sure Michelle Pfeiffer and Michael Douglas are properly accommodated, which, like, maybe you should do that. That's fine. But they are so important in a way that they also so do not matter, that it's a weird mix. And meanwhile, the person who suffers most is Cassie. But that actor, to me, when she is getting out of jail and talking to her dad, those are the times where I'm like, that's an Avenger right there. Put her with Florence Pugh and Haley Steinfeld. She will hold her own. I'm very excited, but also I'm shocked that basically everybody we have to conceive of for Young Avengers is a woman. There are no young men.
And the ones we're waiting on are all queer.
Yeah.
Oh, and we have Patriot.
The Patriot is the one, because that person is the right age to be in Avengers, but he's so barely in the movie. The kids that we have from WandaVision can't be Billy and Teddy. We'll need new kids for that, so we don't really have them. We don't come close to having a Novar, although my hope is that's a Marvel's thing. But we've got like 5 young women that could be the Young Avengers tomorrow, and they would all be fantastic. So I really like that actor. This movie did not condone itself well for her.
And part of my hope then is that maybe a lot of this film's purpose for the wider MCU is just to put these characters in a prime position to appear in other stuff. Something I couldn't help noticing as I was making these boards and as we were watching then the film is literally how much of the entire film Paul Rudd spends in this suit. I kept waiting for Cassie to suit up, but he does immediately. And it really feels like trying to associate us with Ant-Man and with how much he is directly in effect for what at least is going to happen with Kang, whether that is going to play in something even above Kang or whatever they decide to do with it. They're going to have to wrap it up somehow. And with the ending of him having that giant panic attack, they were clearly trying to drive us toward something where I think, and at least hope, that Ant-Man will be a broader feature going forward. And with Ant-Man, I hope that we continue to see the Ant family. Not even just these 3, but, you know, how much we love Janet and Hank. I threw this one on the board in case I had an opportunity to bring it up, but it's them in the classic suits from Ant-Man and the Wasp, the second movie. So seeing them get to play a little bit more in something. I know Michael Douglas wants to come back to die. Sure, that'll be fun. Do something exciting with it. Ants. You know, the ants, they're fun. You know, I see where this movie could have been more in so many ways that we have discussed, but I kind of even feel like this was just touching on the more that the MCU still could be. One of the things that I was saying as we were watching this was it really felt like they were saying, hey, you think that the only weirdness we have to offer is Guardians of the Galaxy? Look how weird the quantum realm is. You don't even know where we could... Look at this guy with a light bulb for a head. What's his deal? There's just so much untapped potential that could come to more, that could not come to more. You know what? Don't worry about it. Just have fun. And that's sort of what I feel like the moral of Quantumania is.
And one of the things I can't help but notice is how many other world we keep going to. It was like the Dark World, or, you know, whatever was the equivalent of the Dark World in Thor. It was Carmitage. It was the name is slipping my mind. The other magical world we saw epic battles in phase
Paolo
4.
from
Paolo, thank
Shang-Chi.
you.
Yeah, a lot of different. That's a really
And
excellent
so-
point.
And a lot of these movies have ended with going to a restaurant or a coffee shop, like Spider-Man, like Shang-Chi, like this. A lot of the movies have involved sort of meta multiple versions of people. Spider-Man, Doctor Strange, Quantumania, that's the whole point of Loki. And speaking of Loki and other versions of people, man, I bet Marvel is really regretting these 2 post-credit scenes. They both septuple down on Kang. I do know that Jonathan Majors is just so.
Do you know I had to
Damn,
make
handsome.
this?
So stupid gorgeous.
So
I had to work so
unbelievably
hard
handsome.
to make this because there's the screen caps for this scene are so hard to find still. People aren't really talking about it. And I have to
Yeah.
assume it's, I don't know, maybe everything going on. Maybe it's the fact that it just feels really cheaply like it is just chopped off of Loki season 2 and put on the end of the movie here. And I'm not a big fan of that.
Honestly, I prefer that to a trailer.
Okay.
I think they did at the end of Multiverse of Madness, or maybe it was Love and Thunder, but
Or Multiverse of Madness, for sure they did one, yeah.
yeah, and that really upset me because I stayed in the theater to watch a trailer that I'm a Marvel fan. You think I hadn't already seen that 1,000 times? And so even to take like a scene that was going to get cut out of Loki, or even a scene that's going to be in Loki, but to hype me up a little bit, for me that was enough. I thought that these 2 scenes as the post-credit scenes were brilliant at the time, because this is what I was waiting for Kang. We knew we were going to see these 3 especially. Although I thought it would be Iron Lad, I didn't think it would be Centurion. But
if Iron Lad is Kang, then they can't do it. Is it Tony Stark? Because they'll know it's not Tony Stark when he's black.
Fair point.
Ooh.
Fair point.
Yeah.
Which good.
They also-
bring in that diversity. I'm here for it. I don't need Iron Lad to be white.
Yeah.
After watching... Go ahead, sorry.
Oh no, I was just going to say that the next one was yet another version of Kang, but we know we're about to go see that one for realsies, where like these 3, we're maybe not going to see them again for 2 to 6 years. It was cool. It was just, that's all.
This movie was also the first time I think I was excited about the possibility of there being Iron Lad, specifically because now Kang has met Cassie, functioning as whatever her Cassie Lang superhero persona is to some degree. I would say she's at least as established here as a fighting force as Kate was in Hawkeye, even without a name yet. So I think the idea of bringing Iron Lad in now, as opposed to the way it was presented originally of her meeting Iron Lad first, would be really, really, really fascinating.
Speaking of fascinating, I just want to comment, those 3 versions of Kang, all the way to the left is Ramatut, in the middle was Immortus. The one on the right, I kept being like, I can't place him, but I know there's only so many versions of Kang. The reason I can't place him, because his name is a reference to the color of his costume, which, considering he is the Scarlet Centurion, I think he's just going to be the Centurion. I think they don't need the word Scarlet. I think Scarlet Witch, it makes it a little too... There's no reason for the descriptor, and making him blue is a cool change.
Yeah.
Except visually, and I don't mean this because they are both, handsome black men with, a futuristic look, but the design of this costume visually looks to me like a lot of the design of the way the High Evolutionaries networking sort of meets his skin.
Yeah.
So I just think that's an example of where it's not that they're identical, but there's a little too much similarity for characters that I wouldn't think are connected, characters that I don't believe are related in any way, so that they so disparately look similar has me a little like maybe the VFX department needed to communicate a little bit more to keep these two characters' design work right here, such a unique place to feel similar from looking similar.
Also, just an absolute riot that Ramatut's tits are out.
Oh yeah, full glory.
Again, as it should be, but
Cha cha cha.
I sort of wondered if we would see Ramatut, especially because that's such a weird offshoot situation that takes us into deep Marvel lore, and is another place where the X-Men really could be a thing. And I sort of was like, I don't know if they're going to want to do that, because we're all sitting here waiting for it. And to even do the reference to Ramatut is going to make like a billion people be like, here's why the X-Men are now in the MCU. And
This is it.
Yep. But I think focusing on having the tits out helps to distract us. So very smart there.
All said and done, I'm glad I saw it. I was going over our list and we gave everything scores, but we did not score this film. Now I am confident saying, going over our coverage in my head, that we would have given Guardians 3 thumbs ups. I do believe we would have afforded it the 9-point maximum. Everybody was pretty positive on Guardians 3, right? So, what about this movie? I think I'm going to give it a yellow.
Yep, this is a solid yellow.
Man, the coloration on the screen makes my thumb look so red, but it's like a normal thumb. So stupid. I give this a solid yellow. It gets a 2 from me. How about you guys? You guys,
Yep, it's a 2. This is kind of not one of those. It's got amazing things and terrible things. It's just all the way through solid.
Yeah. Kevo, how you feeling?
Yeah, I'm solid, trending up, for sure. I would definitely watch again. I appreciate that it is moderately short. It was really like I was saying about Wakanda Forever, that final shift into high gear, of, Kang trying to get through the portal and them having to wail on each other, and that went on for too long, and then them thinking they can't get back to Earth. It was all of it was drawn out for several minutes too long, and I think if they had tightened that up, I'd be able to give this a much more solid B. But, C is still passing. And so, yeah, definitely for sure. Definitely enjoyed it.
Well, then this guy gets 6 points. That puts it in league with a number of other films. Definitely lower than WandaVision, but pretty on par with where we put things like Doctor Strange, notably above where we put What If. So good company, around Thor, Love and Thunder, maybe trending a little better than that. Of course, Guardians, definitely a higher score from us as a crew. And, hopefully the next couple of movies blow us away. But before we get to any more movies, when we come back, we're going to be taking a look at a number of the upcoming TV shows in the Marvel Disney Plus slate. So we're going to be taking a look at Secret Invasion. That's I have to assume, complete series. I don't think they're going to be like Secret Invasion Season 2. It's not done, and now everybody knows about it. That would be a terrible name for a second season. We're going to be taking a look at Loki Season 2, all new showrunners. We're going to be taking a look at the filmed twice Echo, and I'm going to talk about why I think this guy threw the Echo show running team for a loop. But before we move on to that, I just want to check with you guys. Final thoughts on Ant-Man. Were you guys, looking back, do you guys feel good about it? Do you guys feel strong?
Ants.
Ants.
Yeah, no. I'm totally ambivalent. It was fine. It was fun.
Ambivalent.
Ambivalent. It was fine. It was fun. Didn't blow me away. Might feel a little bit differently if poor Jonathan Majors wasn't in this limbo that I shouldn't say poor Jonathan Majors. If Jonathan Majors wasn't in this limbo that he is in, but given that I'm not sure if I'm rooting for Kang or not, I'm just kind of like, meh.
And Kevo, final thoughts.
Yeah, same. Overall pleasant. Really could have gone harder, but really could have lived up to this original logo for Quantumania in some fun ways. But as far as not living up to my expectations, I don't think it hit me as hard as Multiverse of Madness ultimately did. Yeah. So, we'll see what it has to offer in the future. What about you? What do you got? Last thoughts?
Yeah, I had a good time. I would have liked if it had gone a little bit further with some of the points we made about hive mind collective understanding of, kind of like a cyclical theory of the way teams work. It's actually how the Avengers were able to defeat Thanos by pulling together every Avenger. But now it turns out even doing that, pulling together thousands of Ant-Man were only enough to defeat one Kang. What do you do with a multiverse of Kangs? Well, you'll need a multiverse of Avengers. And that could have been spelled out a little clearer for the audience. But I'm very excited for the future, and I'm very excited to talk about the upcoming programs on D+. But, I'd also be very excited if you guys liked, subscribed, hit share, commented, generally interact with the channel and let us know what we're doing, what you like, what you don't like, suggest episodes. We're gonna have a Patreon up and running real soon, and so you guys can give us money, and we will give you content, and it'll be cool, right? That's how that works.
It's what we love to do.